Welcome to EPG Pathshala of Improvement. Myself, Professor A.Y. Asundi, retired Professor, Department of Library and Information Science, Bangalore University, Bangalore. In this module, we are going to study some basics of research methodology. We know in this course you are also going to study another module on testing of hypothesis. This module in brief will introduce you the basics of research methodology. It is not very comprehensive, but deals with some of the elementary aspects of research methods. It consists of several aspects, that is, giving you an outline of this particular model, the objectives, the research process, the research design, the methods, tools of data collection, the measurement of data, sample selection, sampling design, data analysis and interpretation, writing your research report or your dissertations, and also the elementary aspects of descriptive statistics. Let me first give you in brief the objectives of this particular module. The first objective of this module is to know the basics of research, the meaning of research, the definition and the types of research like pure and applied research. The objective is also to evolve or evaluate the steps involved in research process. Then to know how to prepare a research design, to know the different research methods, tools of data collection, methods of measurement of data, to know the different methods of presentation of data like tabulation, graphic methods, pie charts, line graphs and so on and so forth, and to study the need for analysis and interpretation of data, and lastly to know the basics of preparing a research report. Steps in research process. In any research, the following steps are involved. First, identifying and formulating the research problem. Second, developing the objectives of the research. Third one, the formulation of the hypothesis. Fourth, literature review. The fifth, research design. The sixth, sample design. The seventh, the data collection, the methods and tools. The eighth, analysis and interpretation of data, and then the writing the research report and writing your conclusions of research. What is research design? It is an overall strategy of carrying out the research which is termed as research design. Research design is a conceptual structure within which a research would be conducted. For instance, you have a sample design and you have to conduct the research to the identified sample only. The third one is the research design contributes the blueprint for the collection and measurement and the analysis of the data. A research design simply is a logical and systematic plan prepared for directing a research studies. For example, what are the statistical methods used for the analysis of the data, or what are the graphical or the tabulation methods that you have adopted for the presentation of your data. Let us move to the types of research design. Boyd has suggested two broad classes of research designs known as exploratory research design and the conclusive research design. They include further some subdivisions which also fall within the above two classes. There are therefore as many research designs as there are types. So, there are basically three types of research designs which are used, and they are survey design, historical research and experimental research. Let us move to the idea of the sampling and the sampling method. In any research design, one of the important aspects is the collection of the data. The collection of the data sometimes covers the entire population. It is not possible always to cover the entire population, because the population is so big that its analysis becomes very unwieldy. As a result of which, the researcher have identified the collection of the sample of the population and comes the idea of the sampling. So, in this slide we have given you the idea of the sampling and the sampling methods. Sampling is concerned with the selection of a subset of entities from a population to estimate characteristics of the population. The entities may be like the individuals or the persons or the users, the books, trees, patients, customers, etc., depending upon the type of the population. Now, let us go to the sampling methods. Broadly, there are two types of sampling methods or categories of sampling. The first one is the probability sampling and the second one is the non-probability sampling. Under the probability sampling, you have simple random sampling, which is the collection of the sample at random without any kind of the strategy used for the collection of the sample. Second one is the stratified sampling, which divides the population into stratas. For example, in the case of the teachers, we may use the strata of the professors, we may use the strata of the associate professors, we may use the strata of the assistant professors, and so on and so forth. So, the strata can be applied to divide the entire population in the structured forms. So, it is called as the stratified random sampling, and again in each one of the strata strategy or in each one of the level, we can at random select the sample. That is why it is called as stratified random sampling. The third one is the systematic random sampling. It is in fact the considering the aspect of the system. For example, in a library you may use different kinds of systems or the different kinds of sections. For example, acquisition section or circulation section or the reference section, each one becomes the subset or the subsystem of the entire library system, and again in each one of the subsystems you select the samples at random. That is why it is called as systematic random sampling. Then the fourth one is the multi-stage sampling. In multi-stage sampling, we are going to use each one of the stages of the population at different levels. Then the fifth one is the cluster sampling, that is clustering the groups by gender or by age, by designations or by kind of occupation of the samples. So, these are the 5 methods of the probability sampling. It is possible that application of any one or more than one sampling method can be used for the collection of the samples. The non-probability sampling are the convenient sample, the quota sample, the purposive or the judgment sample. The non-probability samples are applied only when there is a utter need for using this particular sampling method. For example, convenience sampling. Suppose I am using the evaluation of the collection, my convenience is I want to use the economics as one of my conveniences. So, there is no hard and fast rule why I must use only this particular subject. So, according to my convenience, according to availability of data, I use this particular sampling method, which is called as the convenience sampling. Then the quota sampling and the purposive or the judgment, I can use the selection of the samples according to my judgment and according to my purpose. So, the sampling and the sampling methods are very important for the collection of the data as the population becomes very large and the analysis of such a large population data becomes unwieldy. So, we use the sampling methods and the sampling technique. Let us now move to the next slide, the slide number 10, which comprises the description on data collection, methods of data collection, tools and the measurement of the data. Now, let us first see the methods of data collection or the tools used in the data collection. These are the methods of data collection: historical method, survey method, experimental method, contact method, case study method, questionnaire method which is a tool, observation method which is again a tool, and the interview method. More than one method or more than one tool can be used in each one of the methods. For example, in case of historical method, we can use the diary of the person as for the data or the primary data of about that particular individual, and I can also use the observation method or the interview method along with the collection of the data from his diary or his memoirs. So, for each one of the data I can apply or we can apply more than one tool. The most important or the very popular method is the survey method. In the survey method, we use the tools like the questionnaire as a tool or the interview as a tool, observation as a tool. So, the methods and the tools are the two faces of the same coin. Without a tool, a method cannot be accomplished. For example, in the case of experimental method, we may use the observation as an experiment. In case of a case study, we use the interview for the case study. In case of the survey method, we use more than one tool, questionnaire or the interview. So, these are the methods and tools of data collection. Now, coming to the measurement of the data, we can perform the measurement of the data by two modes, one by descriptive statistics and second one is the statistical testing. For example, descriptive statistics consist of the means or the central tendency or the averages and the presentation data in different mathematical and arithmetical formats. The statistical testing consists of the sum of the tests like the chi-square test and the t-test. These are the sum of the statistical measurement of the data. Now, let us move to the sources and the types of the data. The sources of data are primarily two, the documentary sources and the field sources. For example, a person's memoirs may be a documentary data, or the personal files may be documentary data, whereas the field sources, you go to the particular survey and you go to the particular area, your particular population, that is actually, in fact, you go to the field, you go to the site of the experiment and collect the data from the site. The popular and accepted sources of data are classified as primary source and secondary source. If you are directly collecting the information from the individual or from the institution or from the source, it is called as the primary source. If you are collecting the data from the second or the third party, then it is called as the secondary source. Supposing I want to know the information about the Prime Minister of India, I can directly go to him and collect the data from him, or I can collect the data from his biodata published elsewhere, which is called as the secondary source. The primary data are information gathered to meet the specific requirement of the investigation. Some of the methods are observation, questionnaire and schedules, experimentation, simulation, interview and projective techniques. The secondary data, briefly classified as internal, available within the organization and institution, and external, consisting of personal and the public sources. Now, let us move to the measurement of the data. There are four main levels of measurements used in the statistics. They are nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio. Let us briefly understand what are these levels. The nominal level is the nominal measurement have no meaningful rank order among values. For example, gender, male or female, there is no order. Nationality, ethnicity, language, style, biological species, visual pattern, whether it is the color painting or whether it is a black and white painting. So, these are the considered as the nominal measurements of the data. For instance, in the case of the book, we can say whether the book is hardbound, whether the book is paperback. Now, this is just a nominal measurement of the data in the case of a book. The second level is the ordinal data, which allows the rank order, first, second or the third. Now, supposing you have 3 books on library classification. Now, you may rank them. Okay? The book by Dr. Ranganathan, Prolegomena to library classification, you may rank it as 1. So, you may rank other books as rank 2, rank 3 and so on and so forth. So, this is called as the ordinal measurement of the data, ordinal measurement of the data. The examples include a spectrum of values such as completely agree, mostly disagree or completely disagree when measuring the qualitative opinion of an individual. So, these are the ordinal values or ordinal measurements of the data. The interval is another level of measurement of the data, which is very simple. Interval data allows for the degree of difference between the items, but not the ratio between them. Okay? So, I will come between 1 and 2, or the books are issued between 1 and 2 are so many. This is an interval which specified the circulation data in a library, but it does not show the ratio between how many books in science and how many books in mathematics are issued to the ratio of 1 to 2, that is not the interval. The ratio measurement, which is not an interval but a meaningful 0 value, and the distances between the different measurements are defined. Ratios are not allowed with interval data, since different allowed with the interval data, since 20 degrees centigrade cannot be said twice as hot or 10 degrees centigrade, nor can be multiplication division be carried out between any two dates directly. So, these are the 4 different types or the levels of measurement, again nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio, and these measurement levels can be applied to your data to specify certain behavior of your data. We are moving to the data analysis and interpretation. After the collection of the data, the next step is the presentation of the data in the form of tables and graphs. The purpose of the presentation of the data is to enable its analysis and interpretation. The analysis of the data should be done considering the behavior of the data, and interpretation is a comparison of the behavior of the two sets of data. The interpretation should be an inference between the two behaviors of the data. In the research, normally the presentation of the data in the percentages or in the form of the mean, median and the mode is considered as the interpretation, but it is wrong. The interpretation should show if it is the mean value of the data, why this particular mean value, and how does it behave with the upper and the lower data of that particular data. So, the interpretation should provide the behavior of the data, not just the analysis of that particular data in percentages or its central tendency behavior. So, the interpretation should be a kind of a interpretation or the inference that you derive from the analysis of the data. So, analysis should lead to interpretation of the data. Analysis and interpretation of the data are most crucial aspects of research. Analysis of data is to be made with reference to the object of the study. Supposing you want to analyze the data about the number of books issued per year, then it should only consider the circulation data for the analysis of your results. Further, the analysis on its possible effect on the scientific discovery with reference to research problem at hand or the hypothesis. Now, supposing your hypothesis is that more number of books are issued at the time of examination, and this you can find out from your data and find out from the circulation transactions in your library and find out whether this particular hypothesis is true, and that is actually the interpretation of your data. Interpretation means drawing inferences from the collected facts after the analytical study. As already I have mentioned, your hypothesis is that the books during the examination times, more number of books are issued from the library at the time of the examination, and you have collected the data, and your interpretation or inferences should show that the more books are issued at the time of examination, and that particular things proves your hypothesis. So, this should be the interpretation of the data, and this is the way the data should be interpreted. The interpretation has two major aspects, namely establishing the continuity in research through the linking of the results of a given study with those of another, and the establishment of the some relations with the collected data. Now, supposing you want to compare the two types of libraries, the academic libraries and the public libraries. For example, in academic libraries, more number of books are issued at the time of examination, whereas such a criteria does not prove in the case of the public library. In the case of the public libraries, more number of books are issued when there are holidays, or when there are holidays for the people, or on Sundays or on Saturdays, because people are free to borrow the books in this particular in these two particular days. So, when you are comparing the data about the circulation transactions in two different libraries, like the academic library and the public libraries, you have two different parameters, and these relations of the collected data will prove that the behavior of the issue of the books in public libraries and the academic libraries are two different aspects. So, the interpretation has these two aspects. So, we must establish this kind of a research by the collection of the data from two different libraries. The results of any research, it is generally believed as public domain. The research is conducted with the public monies, and therefore the findings of the research have to be communicated through a systematically prepared report. Report writing again involves a lengthy process, and the students are advised to refer to some manuals of styles which guide on the content, structure and style of writing reports. In this module, we have tried to give you some basic ideas about research methods, particularly the objectives of the research, the definition, meaning and the types of research, the methods of collection of data, the tools used for the collection of the data, and in particular we have elaborated on the data analysis, interpretation of the data. In fact, this particular module is only an introductory part of research methods. We are not able to give you very comprehensive treatment about the research method, because the purpose of this module is to serve as a complementary to the next module on the testing of hypothesis. Hope this particular module will be of great use to you, and we hope we get a better feedback from your studies. Thank you very much.